Bills Mafia, what's going on? Welcome into your Tuesday, September 2nd. Yes, John's getting down. I love it. Tuesday, September 2nd version of First and Five. I am Dave Myers, and that is Jon 𝐬𝐫𝐿𝐵𝐿. We are here to break down Bills and Ravens, as you saw in the title of the thumbnail. John, how was your long holiday weekend, man? You got some college football in, huh?
Yeah, man, it was good. For those that know me, they know that I'm a massive college football nut.
Nerd.
Well, draft is my baby. I love it. So finally getting to see some of the top prospects in next year's draft on the field and how they perform is exciting, man. Lots of takeaways. Arch Manning, still 101 if he declares. I don't know. That was a dud against Ohio State.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I was so excited just to have football and like highlights on the timeline all weekend. And, you know, we're back into the rhythm. We're here.
Yeah, I mean, now we have football all day on the weekend. So we have college Saturday and NFL on Sunday, and then obviously NFL on Monday too. So today we're going to talk about a few different topics. Obviously, the bulk and the meat and potatoes of the conversation is going to be the Bills Ravens. I don't want to just have an hour and a half long show about what the Bills need to do on offense, what the Bills need to do on defense, how do they stop this guy, how do they do that. I want to just cut into the meat and potatoes, slice things down, have a nice, organic, shorter conversation about, what John thinks about the game, how I feel about the game, things like that. Before we get into that, though, a familiar face, once again, 3 times a charm, a former Buffalo Bill is back in Gabe Davis, signed to the practice squad. This one took a little bit longer than I think a lot of people anticipated. When he was here for his second visit, which was, I believe that was beginning of last week, a lot of stuff was coming out that people were concerned what that meant for guys like Tyrell Shavers and things like that, the overall health of the wide receiver room. But obviously, as you see what Brandon Beane's done here, he's put Gabe Davis on the practice squad. The Jacksonville Jaguars are paying him, I believe, north of $11 million to play for the Buffalo Bills this year. So that's kind of cool.
Love that.
So John, to you, what does this mean? Because obviously we had Jordan Phillips was the first domino. Then we had Jordan Poyer as the second domino. Now we have Gabe Davis. Are the Bills building the NFL's greatest practice squad? Or is this joke? How do you feel about Gabe Davis? And we could talk about Jordan Poyer and Jordan Phillips in a little bit because we didn't really get to talk about that last week. So what's your thoughts on Gabe Davis? Is this something where he's practice squad going to be all year? Is there a possibility to him to get on the 53? What's your thoughts?
No, I think that he's going to have a chance to make the 53. I don't know. I think there's going to be debates at some point this season, maybe sooner than later, about whether or not it's he or Tyrell Shavers that should be up. I think that's going to be a conversation that happens. Listen, 2 years ago in Buffalo was a 746-yard, 7-touchdown season. Before that, 836 and 7. Like, he was basically good for 7 touchdowns a year as a deep threat. And no, it wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. And a lot of Bills fans wanted to move on from him as being the number 2 or number 3 option. But now you're talking about him as the number 6 or number 7, and another team is paying him. And he has familiarity with the team. And like, I don't think there's anything to hate about this. Like, I love that he's back in the building. I think that it says so much about Buffalo as a culture and as a community and as a team that you keep having these guys that leave Buffalo and they're just like, I just want to go back to Buffalo. Like, I just want to go back and play for the Bills. And as a wide receiver, wanting to play with Josh Allen is probably a pretty good thing. So I get it from Gabe's perspective. I get it from the Bills. Bring him back to the practice squad. Let's see how he does, how he recovers from the injury. If he looks like he's back to 100% speed, if he looks like he's a potential difference maker that you rotate in when you need some deep shots, then why not? I do think the debate is going to be there between he and Tyrell Shavers, probably sooner than later, maybe in a few weeks.
Yeah, I put on Twitter earlier today. I was like, having Gabe Davis be your number 2 and number 3 is one thing, but having Gabe Davis be an option for 4, 5, or 6 is completely different. I mean, the expectations aren't there, right? The contract is not there. So the familiarity with Josh Allen is there. So, I mean, if somebody gets injured, obviously Curtis Samuel has been dinged up 2 seasons in a row. Keon Coleman had that injury last year. He looks to be okay. Khalil Shakir got banged up at the red and blue scrimmage. He's supposedly ready to go for week 1. But if there's something that he can't go, then maybe you want to elevate Gabe to be the 6th receiver. Throughout the season, this is a really nice insurance policy to have. I think that there's still some play left in Gabe Davis. I feel like what happened in Jacksonville, he had the injury. He was never really thrown into that offensive system. I feel like they overspent to get him. The Bills were never going to pay that. So I see a comment from Roy Collins coming in here. How healthy is Gabe Davis? Well, when he was in Buffalo for his second visit, McDermott touched on his visit in his presser and said that he did meet with medical. So I'm assuming that the Bills would not have signed him to the practice squad if he did not pass the physical. He had, I believe it was a knee injury last year, and
torn meniscus.
Yeah, torn meniscus. So he's a couple months removed from being fully recovered from that, from all accounts. So I think this is something that we don't need to overreact to it as a Bills fan base. We don't need to just be like, oh, we're just going to keep bringing in these old guys. Well, they're bringing in a guy who has familiarity with Josh Allen. So that's going to help no matter what. And if the Bills get to the postseason and they need a fifth receiver that's healthy, maybe Gabe's been on the practice squad all year and he's healthy and he's good to go in the postseason. So we'll see. But again, I wouldn't overreact to it. If Gabe Davis is fighting for a roster spot, that's fine. He's not the number 2-3 target anymore. So, all right, that's it. We'll move on. All right. I'm going to give you the real pressing question first. Did the Bills do enough on the defensive line to stop Derrick Henry? Week 1. It's a loaded question because week 1 is always like a crapshoot. Like some teams we've seen come out and play really well week 1, and that's kind of a determining factor for how their season's going to go. A couple years ago, I remember when the Bills lost to the Steelers on opening day, and then they looked horrible, and then they played really well the rest of the way. So what's your thoughts here?
That is a loaded question because, well, okay, just to answer your question, I'm going to say no. And the reason why is that Brandon Beane's vision for a defensive line is not a bunch of run stuffers. It's not how he's building this team. It's not the way that this roster is constructed. It's not the way that he's drafting defensive line. He's drafting gap guys, speed guys, disruptor guys, which are super valuable. Don't get me wrong. And we've talked about it already last week, and you're probably going to hear me say it all season long. I wish that they would lean into getting the prototype of a big 1T, but that's just not the way that they're building their defensive line. So can they stop Derrick Henry? Yeah, they can. They've proven that through scheme and healthy linebacker play, you can slow Derrick Henry down-ish, which is about all any NFL team can ask. The way that the Baltimore Ravens have their team constructed, their offensive line, the combination of Henry and Lamar, it's downright filthy. I mean, expecting any team to come out and straight up stop that is brutal. You're just trying to hang in or score fast enough on offense where they have to maybe go away from the ground and pound that they want to do a little bit sooner than they feel comfortable doing. I honestly think that Josh Allen is the best defense for Derrick Henry in this game. So no, they haven't addressed the defensive line in the way that is specifically going to slow down Derrick Henry, but we've seen them be able to do it. We also saw Derrick Henry get 1 yard shy of 200 against them last year with like a 90-yarder or whatever he had in that one game early in the season. So they got to contain him early. I think that that's what this comes down to. You cannot get punched in the mouth right out of the gate by Derrick Henry. If that happens, it's going to be a long game. If you can get off the field early, if Josh Allen can put points on the board, then I like where we're at.
Yeah, to me, I think it's going to be interesting because I feel like you couldn't have asked for a worse opponent for week 1.
I totally agree.
Trying to do what you did this offseason and completely revamp your defensive line. I feel like I'm not even talking about losing DeWayne Carter for the season. So, I mean, we'll get into that here in a minute, but I feel like you said, and we talked last time we talked, I talked about how the Bills I feel like they got quicker and they got the guys that just want to win their one-on-ones or win their battles up front and get after the quarterback. Well, that doesn't help when you have a run-controlled offense like the Baltimore Ravens. So I will say, though, it's nice. It's the worst to have as an opening game, but it's also I'd rather play them in week 1 than in week 16 or 17 because the Bills will have time to bounce back and figure some things out. And I don't want this game week 16 and they're fighting for the number 1 seed. I want this game when the Bills are fully healthy. I want this game when the Bills offense is fully healthy and they might not have seen any film on new Joe Brady right now. So their defense is going to have the same problems I think that the Bills is, minus the Derrick Henry issue, trying to stop Josh Allen in the offense. So let's talk about the Bills roster, because DeWayne Carter, obviously, they have not placed him on the IR. We were just talking in our group chat earlier. They have not placed him on the IR. He's actually on the depth chart that the Bills released today.
Number 5 defensive tackle with torn Achilles.
So I don't know if they're waiting to bring somebody up. I would assume it's going to be Jordan Phillips. I mean, heading into this game, maybe that's not the long-term solution, but I think on 6 days notice or 7 days notice, I think Jordan Phillips is that guy. This is why you brought him in case we need you. You're familiar with the scheme. We just need you to play this game in the rotation. So what's your thoughts about DeWayne Carter being out? Because I think we touched on him a little bit. Like, we were concerned if he was going to even make the roster last time we talked a couple weeks ago. So what's your thoughts on him being on the IR, and then what the Bills should do to kind of fill his shoes on the 53?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that it's got to be Phillips that comes up, especially because of the role that he plays, especially because of the opponent. Regarding DeWayne Carter, it breaks my heart for the kid. Had an up and down rookie season, and now he's going to miss his second season with an Achilles injury. It's a long road back from that, and from the adversities in the first 2 seasons, in order to become a difference maker for the team going forward. So I do worry a little bit about his future with Buffalo. And that sucks. So, we just got to hope for the best in terms of his recovery and see if he can get right for next year and make a difference. I don't know, dude, spend your recovery eating, I guess. Get to 320 and we'll be good. But yeah, I feel horrible for him. I think that it's got to be Phillips that gets the call up in this spot, so that you have kind of a Daquan Jones Phillips rotation in the middle, potentially, as your kind of bigger one-tech type defensive tackles. I think that's got to be the way to go.
Yeah, it's, I think we were all talking about DeWayne Carter as a roster bubble guy just because of the lack of reps that he got last year. He didn't play a ton, obviously being a rookie. But yeah, like you said, it just kind of stinks for him. And I think there was a lot of already added pressure on him after what Brandon Beane did in the offseason and in the draft. It was like, okay, you're going to be pushed more than you were pushed last year to contribute. And now this happens. So, hopefully the guy can recover, and hopefully this isn't the end for him in Buffalo, but we'll see what happens there. So you want to talk about Jabril Peppers?
Sure.
He seems to be
everyone else is. We might as well.
He seems to be the hot topic, and I put out a short a couple days ago, and it was basically about it was a clip from a show that me and Akeem did this past weekend, where it's like it makes too much sense, right? And the way I approached it was the Brandon Codrington angle, because Brandon Codrington does not really give you anything other than kick returns and punt returns. Cool, if he's good at it, fine. But Jabril Peppers can do punt returns, and he can absolutely add help in that safety room when needed. I'm not going to say if, when needed at some point this year. So what's your overall thoughts on that? I obviously don't know what kind of money he's looking for. I haven't looked to see if he still owed something from the Patriots. I haven't pulled that up here recently, but what's your thought on Jabril Peppers? I think it's a perfect fit. He even tweeted out that he's played for so many different defensive coordinators and head coaches. He will play. He can play in any system. So what's your thoughts?
I think that, listen, take PFF grades for what they are, but I saw that PFF posted a couple days ago that Peppers has a 90.1 PFF grade over the last 2 seasons, 4th amongst all safeties. And listen, like I said, PFF grades, take them with a giant grain of salt, but Peppers is a starting safety, and a good one. He should be not only on the Bills roster, but I would prefer him starting at safety right now over Cole Bishop, from what we've seen out of Cole Bishop. Let Bishop continue to develop, get Peppers in there at starter. And obviously that takes a little bit of ramp up time and getting him in and learning the playbook and learning the scheme and stuff like that. Sure. But I would feel much better with Peppers back there as a starting safety on this team than I would Cole Bishop right now. I still like Bishop long-term. I still like his athleticism and his instincts, but it just feels like he's still kind of learning the play speed of the NFL. I think that his lack of reps in training camp each of the last 2 years really set him back in terms of his potential development. So give him a chance to learn and put another like really talented veteran in the room to learn from. This is a team captain type defensive player with a ton of versatility and experience. And like you said, punt returns as well. Like, sure, whatever you need to do. But it's got to be contract. Like, that's the only thing that I can think of right now. And the only reason why I think that he's not on the team right now is because they're not lined up in terms of what the finances look like. He's also not a Carolina product and hasn't played for Brandon Beane. He's not 38 years old. So for those reasons,
whoa.
He's not a Bill candidate. But he should be. I think it would just be an absolute upgrade signing. Like a gift this late in the process. You don't expect this to follow.
Yeah, and you have to think too that there's probably a ton of teams that are just like chomping at the bit to try to get him on the roster. My thing, and you sort of touched on the PFF grade. If you look at his run defense PFF grade, isn't that what we just talked about? The run defense. So yeah, we got some Ravens fans in here. Awesome. Salute. We'll see you Sunday night. Any way you can help this roster, fine. Safety room, boom. Punt returns, boom. Help in the run, boom. Play in the box, boom. Whatever, all that stuff. I think it's a no-brainer. But again, I feel like there's a lot of teams vying for his services. I don't think a guy like Jabril Peppers stays a free agent very long. Again, it's probably just financials at this point. And as we all know, the Bills are at the very, very bottom of the NFL in salary cap right now. So we'll see. I have a question for you. So in the past couple of weeks, the Bills have made some transactions, nothing major. And their salary cap has kind of fluctuated up and down a little bit. Do you think that they're waiting to release the news that they did a restructure on anybody? Because I can't foresee who they could have done in the smaller amount of cap that was freed up. Because to me, the biggest one is Dion Dawkins. Yeah. I think it frees up $9 million, north of $9 million. So you would have saw the Bills go from like 1 or 2 million to like 10 or 11 million. So what's your thoughts? Do you think that's coming, or maybe they've already done it and they're just waiting to let us know and it's just trying to get finalized and stuff like that? Like, what's your thoughts on that? The Bills, should they? Because they're going to have to sign somebody at some point up to the practice squad, or they're going to have to sign players throughout the season. Brandon Beane wants money for the trade deadline every year. So what's your thoughts on that? I think
it would make a lot of sense for them to have done Dion Dawkins. Like you said, free up about $9 million is a good chunk of change. I don't know what Peppers is looking for, but if you went to Dion Dawkins and you're like, hey, look, we want to go bring in some veteran help into the safety room, like, I don't see Dawkins saying no to helping out the team. I think you have a lot of the right attitudes on the roster that have been willing to do restructures, that have been willing to, convert things into roster bonuses and signing bonuses and stuff like that. And I feel like he would be willing to do the same. And that's just all opinion. I have no intel on that or anything along those lines. But I think it would make sense to them to do, with Carter not having gone to IR yet, because we were over a holiday weekend. There was no roster transactions yesterday. It feels like there's like a backlog of moves that need to be kind of made and released now by the Bills. And it wouldn't be surprising if that was in there. It's like, okay, we've put, DeWayne Carter on season ending IR. We've restructured this salary cap. We've moved this person from the practice squad to the 53. We've signed Jabril Peppers to the practice squad. Like, it feels like there's a backlog that needs to catch up right now. And it wouldn't be surprising to me if that Dawkins restructure was a part of it. And if they're really heavily invested in pursuing Peppers, and I don't know, man, play the revenge angle, go stick it to the Pats and pick off Drake May. Like, come on, join our team and go stick it to him.
Interesting comment from Roy Collins here. With Dawkins being 31, is it smart to restructure his contract? Do you want to take that one, or you want me to go on that one?
I'm fine with it because, one, he's still playing at such a high level, and two, you really clearly have a 4 to 5 years Super Bowl window. Like, that's the way that Beane has gone about this right now. And listen, as long as you have Josh Allen, you always have a Super Bowl window. But the way that he's gone about all of the contract extensions this offseason, they've all been in that 4 to 5 year range. He's picked his core. He's identified, these are the guys. This is the core of what we're doing and what we're building around. So with Dawkins, he's 31, but he still has a ton of athleticism. I have like no concerns about him slowing down at any point super soon. So it would not really concern me to see Dawkins play out that kind of 4-year window, or maybe it's 3 with an option or whatever it might look like in terms of the exact contract thing. But I think that Dawkins is very much positioned to kind of, he's going to start taking a decline at some point, but he still looks like he's got a couple more seasons before there might be a slight decline in play coming from, would be my initial take on it. What about
I feel like he's been getting better each season, and we're entering, what's this, year 9? I feel like he's being recognized more. I feel like you're seeing a lot more things from Dawkins that we didn't see 4 or 5 years ago. And I feel like he's, like you said, he's a pillar and a cornerstone of this team.
Yeah.
I think doing that would just submit that fact that he's going to be here until he's not able to play anymore. Like it's not a guy where if you restructure him, you have to worry about it. If he's going to be on the team in a couple of years, he's going to be here as long as he's able to play football at left tackle. I just feel like he's a cornerstone left tackle for the Bills. And he's, like you said, I feel like last year might've been his best season yet. And that was year 8. So we'll see what happens. I feel like a restructure would help, especially if you get to a point in the season. Every season's different with the Bills. Every season seems to have trials and tribulations here and there. Hopefully not this year. But you just look a couple seasons ago, we didn't even know if the Bills were going to make the playoffs when they were 6-6. So if something, God foreseen, knock on wood, hopefully doesn't happen like that, where they're at a point where they need to get some players at the trade deadline, they're going to need salary cap to do that. So We'll see what happens with Brandon Beane. All right. For the Bills defense to be successful, who needs to step up and why? And you can't just say defensive line. Who needs to step up specifically and why?
Listen, it seems obvious, but like this is a Matt Milano game. Like, yes. I need a big Matt Milano showcase. Welcome back. I'm healthy. I can fly downhill to stop the run. I can support in coverage against the tight ends. I can get, just kind of wreak havoc and potentially create some pressure on Lamar, even though that's not like the main thing. Just contain Lamar. Like, his athleticism and his ability to not let Lamar break off a big play. Like, in my opinion, he's the linchpin of what the defense has to do in this game, because as long as he can run fit and contain Lamar slightly, like, you're never going to contain Lamar fully. Same thing, like I said about Derrick Henry earlier, but his athleticism, if he's back, if he's really flying around like it seems like he was all throughout training camp, he has the opportunity to make a massive impact on just trying to slow down what the Ravens are trying to do.
Not even 100% Matt Milano in the divisional game he had a couple effective plays, and it's a different game against Baltimore when you have healthy Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, and Taron Johnson. All 3 of those guys missed the regular season matchup. Not saying that they're all going to stop Derrick Henry on every single run, and it's going to be the Bills are just going to shut him down. But to have your starting linebackers against Derrick Henry is just a win for the Bills. And like you said, I really hope that Matt Milano, even 75% of what Matt Milano was, is really, really good. Yeah. And having him healthy, having Terrell Bernard healthy, and hopefully Taron Johnson's 100%. I know he was a little dinged up during the preseason, so we'll see there. I feel like this is going to be one of those games that it's going to be very stressful. I feel like it's going to be one of those games.
I hate playing the Ravens, man. Like, I hate it so much.
Well, it's twofold, because as much as we all, as Bills fans, we try to push the narrative that Josh is so much better than Lamar, or he's just deserving of the MVP and all this stuff, like, the acknowledgement of how good Lamar Jackson is has to be stated all the time. And it's just the back and forth with Ravens fans. It's just, I think that's what makes it like so much more stressful. Like, I saw so much stuff last night come out because Josh Allen was number 3 in the top 100 and Lamar Jackson was number 2. So it's week 1. So I think a lot of people need to relax and not overreact if the Bills do lose this game. Hopefully they won't, and I feel pretty confident because it's week 1. Now, you can be a long-term thinker and think, okay, everything the Bills, content creators and the media and this has been talking about the 1 seed, and the Bills have, Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have been pushing that narrative about we need the 1 seed, we need the 1 seed. And I get that this could be a game for potential seeding down the road, but I think we need to take a breath. Just take a breath if the Bills lose this game, especially if it's competitive and it's close. Like if the Bills come in, it's like week 4 from last year, then we might need to start saying, okay, they're going to take some time to get things going here on the defensive side of the ball. But it's week 1. Like Josh Allen hasn't played since last year. He hasn't played since the Chiefs game and the AFC Championship game. So there's probably going to be a little rust on both sides of the ball, but that's the same thing that can be said for the Ravens too. So I think, like you said, I think just some controlled offense by the Bills, trying to keep Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson off the field is probably the best way to go. And then other than that, I just stay healthy, get out of this game with a win. I think that's the biggest thing you can ask for. So any other thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think the only thing I want to touch on what you just said about Lamar Jackson, because the conversation that goes back and forth between Bills fans and Ravens fans just gets unnecessarily nasty, and I hate it. Mm-hmm. So, like, hey, Bills Mafia, if you're listening, just keep it civil. You can think that Josh Allen is better than Lamar Jackson, and listen, us Bills fans, we wouldn't trade Josh Allen for anything. There's not a quarterback in the NFL that I would rather have under center than Josh Allen, for sure. You can also acknowledge the fact that Lamar Jackson is special and he's elite. And just like Josh, who both came into the league with accuracy issues, both have worked their asses off to progress and grow and improve. And they have. And they've both won MVPs, and they're both on AFC powerhouses that are perennial contenders. It's a great thing to be a part of such a thriving dynamic in the AFC right now. Is it a pain? Absolutely. Do I wish that we could cakewalk through the NFC? Sure. But it's so exciting to be in this era where you have Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow all in the AFC that are all special quarterbacks in their own right. And you don't have to say that the other guys suck in order to compliment Josh. Like, you can acknowledge respectfully how great the others are while rooting for your guy to succeed. So I just want to go into week 1 with that kind of respect. And if they do beat us, hat tip to them, because they are a difficult team that have every chance of making a Super Bowl run, just like the Bills.
Yeah, and obviously everything that you've probably seen in the social media has talked about how talented the Baltimore Ravens are roster-wise. They're the best roster on paper, and they have the best defense and this and that. So it's going to be fun. Football's back. We have 5 days, Sunday Night Football on NBC. It's going to be awesome. I mean, that stadium is going to be electric. The first game of the final season at Highmark Stadium. So hopefully they're going to bring in all the bells and whistles. Before we get out of here, do you want to do a prediction, or is it too soon for that? Because we're going to start doing those every week.
I will throw one out. I haven't given this any thought at all, but I'll throw one out. I will say 24-21 Bills. I think it's close. I think it's tight. I think it errs on the lower scoring side, but that they still get some touchdowns in. And I'm basically just giving them a field goal victory because it's at home in primetime, which Josh Allen shines at home in primetime. So I'm going to say that Buffalo gets it done by slowing down Derrick Henry enough, because you have your healthy linebackers in Taron Johnson, and that Josh Allen. I'm also, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say that James Cook has 2 total touchdowns. I think he gets 1 on the ground and 1 through the air. So 24-21, 2 touchdowns to James Cook, 1 on the ground, 1 through the air.
I like it. Do you think Josh Allen breaks Thurman Thomas's rushing touchdown record on Sunday? Just get it out of the way early.
How short is he? I can't remember. Is it 3?
No, he's tied. 65.
Oh, that's right. He's tied. Well, then yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the first time that they get down. If they get inside the 5-yard line, I think that Joe Brady's calling like 3 straight quarterback runs. Like I don't think it goes anywhere else.
I think this is the 2 touchdown rushing touchdown, 2 maybe 1-2 passing touchdown games. This game, I feel like, just in my thoughts here, it feels like the game from a few years ago when the Bills were losing, what was it, 20-3 at halftime? It was in Baltimore, and then the Bills had that great comeback, and then they got the Tyler Bass field goal to win it. I feel like this might be something very similar to that, where the Bills are having a tough time to start the game to stop the Ravens offense. And then we all know the Bills always make really good defensive halftime adjustments. Like that's just, and this just feels like that's one of those, we have a game plan. Sean McDermott and Bobby Babich have covered this stuff like in depth for the last 2 months about how they're going to stop Derrick Henry. And then something, they just need to flip a switch on something. And then hopefully we get a healthy Joey Bosa, which would be really nice. Hopefully we get, you know what I'm saying? Like that, stuff like that. So I feel like this is going to be a closer game, like 27-24-ish. I feel like a Tyler Bass field goal does it at the end for the Bills.
Or a Ray Davis field goal.
Or a Ray Davis. Or I was going to say we could get some massive punting from Zach Davidson, but he didn't make the practice squad.
Oh, man.
Can't do that. So, all right. Jon, where can they find your work? Where can they find you on social media? Obviously, they can see your Twitter handle there, but where can they find some of the stuff that you're working on?
You find me on socials right here at 𝐿𝐻EMCAMP, talking Bills and NFL draft way too early. And find me on this lovely platform and website. I put out a couple articles last week. We're already diving in on draft prospects. So follow along with that insanity. If you feel like just when it gets to next spring, if you already want to know 20 to 30 names that could be targets for the Bills, then start reading my stuff now. We'll start scratching that surface.
Trust me, Jon's got you covered. This guy's absolutely insane when it comes to the college scouting. So it's amazing. It's really in depth. It's awesome. So, all right, Jon, I'll see you back here next week, and hopefully for all the Bills Mafia watching, we can come back and talk about a Bills W, and then we can get ready for the Jets. For Jon, I'm Dave Myers. As always, pray to the Josh Allen Jesus candle. Go Bills.